Rumbles in Rivers. Good day and welcome to tonight's edition of Sunday Politics, a political program for Nigerians to have their say on all political matters, domestic or global. I am Suleiman. Tonight, we discuss the political rumbles in Rivers and, of course, on those states. Oil-rich Rivers State has been in the news for weeks as political crisis festers between Governor Simi Fubara and his now estranged godfather and Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike. But events took a dramatic turn earlier in the week when Fubara presented his 2024 budget to a four-man panel of state legislators, demolished the State House of Assembly building, and declared the seats of 27 lawmakers who decame to the APC vacant. Meanwhile, the crisis that had engulfed Ondo State as a result of the long-term illness of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu appears to have abated now as Deputy Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa assumes function as acting governor. However, the constitutional issues raised by that crisis remain important and open for discussion. So tonight, we look at these issues in depth with my special guests at the studio and you, the viewer at home. With me, our regular discussant, Mr. Jide Ojo, who is a development expert, public affairs analyst, and columnist with the Punch newspaper. Also with me is Dr. Theophilus Abba, a veteran journalist, member editorial board of Daily Trust, and the program director of the Daily Trust Foundation. You're welcome, gentlemen.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
But before we go, we'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll be right here for you. Stay with us as well. Welcome back. As I said, we're discussing the rumbles in Rivers State as politics get hot there. Do not forget that this program is meant for you and you can join the discussion later on when our phone lines open. When you call in, you tell us your name, where you're calling from, and of course you can ask your question or make a contribution. So, Doctor, let me start. I usually start from my far hand, but I will start from this side today. So, Rivers State. Usually when people talk about rivers, it's about the oil money, you know, and the beautiful roads and other development issues. But in the past 2 months or so, the discussion has centered on politics around in the state, particularly crisis between the present governor and the immediate past governor. So why are those things continuing in the states, in this country, 24 years after this, we started this dispensation?
Okay, thank you very much. Viewers, thank you for allowing us to enter into your living rooms. If you follow the history of politics in Rivers State, I mean, let me say since 2003, the transition from one government to another has always been chaotic. This will not be the first time that we'll have this kind of chaotic situation, although there is a variant now. I remember in 2007, you know, the transition from Peter Odili to the next governor was a bit chaotic.
Celestine Emeha
came in. Rotimi Amici got the ticket for to contest the primary election. But at the time when Obasanjo was supposed to have handed over the flag, he said, "Look, this flag has a K-leg." I don't know whether you remember that expression. Had a K-leg. It wasn't handed over. So few weeks later, it was Celestine Omeha who got it. And then it led to a serious crisis in Rivers State. In fact, I think at a point, Amechi had to even leave the country. He escaped to Ghana while they were fighting it out in the court. The Supreme Court said no. You see, the ticket is for the party. And so this person was the one who got the ticket from the party, so he was the governor. So even though people did not vote for Amechi, they voted Omeha, but then the ticket was handed over to Amechi. He took over. And then in 2015, you know, it wasn't funny because at that time, Amechi had a candidate. You know, I think it was Dakuku. Yeah, it was his own candidate, Peter Side. And there were a lot of reasons for that. You know, he tried to say, okay, well, he was from the, Upland, you know, the Query side. Peter Odile served 8 years. Then he served 8 years, and then it was fair to give what they call the River Nile area. That is the Ijaw area, the opportunity to be governor. And then they wanted Peter Side to come. But because of the conflict between Jonathan and Amechi then, you know, and the first lady was an indigene of Rivers State. She wanted to ensure that the person who would be governor, came from, was her own choice. So I think Wike played, you know, on that conflict, and Wike got the ticket. You know, now the issue has continued, you know, and between Wike and the next governor, Fubara, you know, he was the one that brought in Fubara. Then what we are seeing that, look, there's another conflict. It's supposed to be a seamless transition, you know, but there's another layer of conflict that has come up, which is quite unfortunate. Let
me bring Mr. Jide in. Quite unfortunate, because you raised two important issues. One, the question of ethnicity, but also the question of the party, the ticket belongs to the party, you know, which is relevant when we come to talk about that, maybe, which may be relevant in terms of the 27 legislators that have decamped now, whether the ticket belongs to them or to their party. But why does this keep happening again and again? You know, is there not a way, this godfather, godson kind of crisis always in the state? Yes.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sulaiman.
Yes.
By nature and character of politics, politics is conflictual. You cannot divide conflict from politics, because it's like the popular saying that out of every 12 there will be a Judas.
Absolutely.
And the phenomenon of godfatherism, even though it did not originate from politics, I think it originates from religion. The Catholic faith, a new child will be given a godfather.
Interesting.
You know, yeah, that's the way it is. But it has been absorbed into politics to mean mentorship.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a kind of mentoring. As old as I am, I'm in my 50s. If I want to join politics today, I need somebody to mentor me. Because it's not just money that win election. And when people talk about structure, what they mean is that they control the levers of power within the party, and they are the one that can deliver victory, electoral victory, to anybody.
But how do we make a distinction? Because the concept of mentorship that you mentioned is also important. There's mentorship in politics, just you have mentorship in all careers. But where do you make the distinction between mentorship and interference?
Now, this is where it gets interesting. First, we must situate the fact that political godfatherism in Nigeria has been there since pre-colonial years, through the post-colonial period, in the First Republic, Second, Third Republic. This is the Fourth Republic. It has always reared its public, it said. And let me quickly draw attention to the influence of Oloye, Baba Oloye in Kwara State, that's Saraki. Olushola Saraki, the Senate leader in Second Republic.
Yes.
You know, he determines what goes on in Kwara.
Yes.
And even when Kogi was established, it determines what goes on in both Kwara and Kogi. You cannot become a governor without referencing, without the imprimatur of Oloye Olushola Saraki. And he actually got to a head that he made himself his own son a governor. He told the world that if Mohamed Lawal, who he alleged to have betrayed him, that, well, it's okay. And the next governor will be my son.
But he actually also alleged that even his own son.
Yes, but he ended up having issues with his own son. His son drove him out of PDP and humiliated him politically, arrested him. When the father has to go and establish a CPN. So because the father overreached himself by wanting the daughter to take over after the son. And the son said, look, you can't do that. This is not a monarchy. He cannot be the only one. And also, who will accept a female governor in Kwara? Anyway, that's on the side. In Oyo State, we saw the influence of Adedibu. Rashidi Ladoja is a billionaire, even in dollars, very rich, deep pocket, but he did not become governor until Adedubu, you know, used his political structure to back him. And when Rashidi refused to play ball, you know, in terms of settlement, he said, okay, Rashidi, this is your only... In fact, he didn't wait for the end of the term before he mobilized the Oyo State lawmaker who met at the Rovan Hotel in Ibadan and got him impeached.
Yes, to bring in,
of course, it took 11 months to bring Rashidi back because Alawa Akala, the deputy, took over. Now, coming to Rivers, I like the way Dr. Abba has situated it. You know, from transitionally, it has always been rambunctious, it's been very contentious. But you see this particular instance of political godfathering, particularly of Nigerian Hill, is born out of greed.
Okay.
It's greed that leads to this face-off. And it has come out very clearly in the course of the last week that Wike actually pocketed Fubara. How could you? I mean, first, Wike said none of the political office holder in Rivers bought nomination form. He paid and gave all of those he to them. He just called their names and said, this is your fault. Even when they have their personal money, he just wanted to be in total control. And now, a point you can see, out of 32 members of the State House of Assembly, 27 were loyal to him. One died. That would have been 28. We don't know whether yes. But only 4 were with the governor.
Yes.
And perhaps those 4 could be from a just side who doesn't want to be seen as betraying their home. That's one. 2, look at the commissioners that have resigned. The key ministries, out of 19 commissioners, 9 have resigned. 9. And those 9 holds the key ministries. Minister of Finance, Minister of Works, Education, Special Duty, which other one? Quite, you know, the one we call, quote and unquote, juicy ministries. How can, I remember what Obaseki said when he had issues with Oshiomhole some few years ago in 2019. He said, I cannot be a governor and not be a governor. Because he said appointments are made without his input. He just will hear an announcement made
thank you very much, Mr. J. This is precisely the question that is at the heart of the entire issue. You know, that the power to do your job as a governor. You know, how does this come into it? The fact that you say, okay, you are a former governor, you know, and then I am currently the governor. And you, because when you are a governor, if you are a governor, it's only another governor. You know, I don't see that the Nigerian Constitution does not say one governor is higher than another in any sense of the term. There is equality even between one governor, the governor of state A, and the governor of state B, because this Constitution says the states are equal, right? You know, so I don't see why is it that a former governor still wants to load it over a sitting governor, as always happens.
I think most governors, when it's their time to leave, you know, they just imagine leaving all the privileges, leaving the access that they had to fund.
Interesting.
You know, like we keep saying, there's so much money, you know, for whoever becomes governor. And so you couldn't imagine, I know, living so much, you know, and they kept thinking that, oh, if I plant somebody who would take instructions from me, I would still have access to due resources. But it's unfortunate, it doesn't happen. You know, if you look at from one example to another, all over the country, we've seen those who claim to have installed the governor. I mean, after 2 months, you know, they begin to quarrel. No, and I'm surprised that somebody as smart as Wike would expect that. You see, Fubara will become his servant, even though he's sitting on the throne. You know, there is this saying: if you want to cross a river, you know, maybe there's a prize, and we're told, oh, if you cross the river, you win the prize. The first person attempted to cross the river, he fell into it. The second person attempted to cross, he fell into it. The third person attempted to jump across, he fell into it. You think you can cross. You are just deceiving yourself. You see, the powers of being a governor, the constitutional powers, you know, number one, everything is at your beck and call. You are the owner of everything. You know, the only thing is that you have a state house of assembly that should appropriate, that should decide and all this. So you have that power, and you have immunity from prosecution. So if another person who no longer has immunity, another person no longer has that executive power, gives you instruction, you look back and say, hey, look, you were here before, and I mean, under what authority are you giving me this instruction? I think that Wike misfired, thinking that he could appoint the commissioners, he could still run the House of Assembly from outside. You know, he feel that, oh, even appointing special assistants, you know, those who work with the governor, with Fubara, he thought that he could control them, but it's not possible. There's nobody who will make a governor of a state in this country who will look back and say, look, I can take instruction from some other person. I mean, he will not, except maybe I don't know the relation between the old, I mean, former governor of Oyo, I mean, of Kwara State, this Saraki. I don't know how he related with others, but if you are overbearing, on any governor, he will just push you out.
Yes.
You know, unfortunately, we are seeing a new trend. In the past, it was the party that mass pressure on governors. You know, you hear the national chairman says you must do this. The chairman says you must do. They give instruction, give this money, do this money, do that, and do this. But these days, what is amazing to me is that individuals, they tend to abort. Let me use that word now in code now. They tend to abort their state and say, "Oh, this is my own territory. This is my own." As if it is a company, you know. And you think that everything, oh my God, that is the word. As though the private property.
Yes.
So, and I don't think it can happen in a country like Nigeria. You cannot have a state as your private property. You can do it for 2-3 months. After the 4th month, it will collapse because anybody who sits on that chair as governor, you cannot buy the person. You will not say, I have all these powers. I don't want to be controlled. It doesn't happen for too long. And we should be smart to know that.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Maybe we'll look at the legal aspects of this issue now. For example, the position of the 27 lawmakers that are loyal to, because it's very clear that are loyal to Wike, but who decided because of their loyalty to Wike, who still claims to be in the PDP, you know, but they moved down to the opposition APC. What's their position now? A court in Rivers has declared, the governor has declared their seats are vacant, and it appears like, I don't know, that a court in that state tends to agree. What's the legal position?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, the court did not declare their seat vacant.
Thank you.
And the governor did not. What the court did for Edison,
Edison-backed speaker,
is to say you are valid. You are the valid speaker of the Rivers House of Assembly. And I have issues with that. Of course, motion ex parte, you can get a ruling. It's a ruling, it's not a court judgment.
Not a judgment, okay.
So, and motion ex parte is supposed to last for 7 days. But you see, they are playing smart because this is politics. Legally speaking, what Edison did is untenable. There is no quorum in the Rivers State House of Assembly as we speak. The court said, yes, you are the recognized speaker. But I doubt if Edison's declaration of the seats of 27 of his colleagues vacant will move INEC to want to conduct by-election into that space. Because the section 109 sub 1 talks about the condition upon which you can defect, and that's that if there is a division crisis within the party. However, the constitution was silent on nature and character of that crisis. Is it at the local government level, at the state or federal? the 27 lawmakers are claiming that there is a division at their national headquarters because they do not have one secretary of PDP. That there are different two people claiming to be secretary of PDP. Whether that is sufficient, and the fact that, of course, they have internal crisis within the state PDP. But the Supreme Court decision has been that you cannot claim have a self-inflicted or engineered crisis
which you then use as an excuse.
That it has to be national. Whether it also about who is the actual secretary is tinubu, the court will finally determine. But the question I am considering is that, Dr. Suleiman, this is political, it's not legal. Because the two parties have shopped for court ruling to their favor. The Edison camp got a court ruling in Rivers, in Port Harcourt. The other camp got in Abuja, recognizing them. Now, it's still court of first instance, and the two of them are sitting. But the economic cost is what I am more concerned with. The reason is this. How, for the life of me, will a governor present 800 billion naira worth of budget to 4 members who do not form quorum? And the second day, it's in the news that they are signed the budget.
They have been approved. The budget has been approved.
I mean, we know the constitutional provision laid down for any law. And an appropriation law is a law. It's not an administrative something that you can circumvent. There should be first reading, second reading, committee stage, and then the third reading, final passage. You cannot do all of this in one day. And for the governor to just invite the media and say he's signing 800 billion, I feel that 800 billion being spent by Fubara is an affront on the law of the land, because due process was not for there is no quorum in the first place. The quorum for 32 is 11.
Thank you.
So the legality has spilled over to the economy, and then the other leg of the economic implication, the demolition of the State House of Assembly. Now,
which is what I wanted
to ask. Look at how many billions
exactly. That's what I wanted to ask, Doctor. But it's very important that you were mentioning the 800 billion, because even in the state of New York or California, which are one of the richest states in the US, 800 billion naira, which is like 800 million US dollars, even our today's extension, is still a lot of money. It's not money that you can just go and pick anywhere easily. So, but in order to get that done, the governor demolished the house of the building on the pretext that there is a fire in the building that had been standing for years, and then so that the sitting can be happening only inside the government house. What is the implication for democracy, for development of democracy, particularly at subnational level, that the legislative organ of government, which is an organ of government in its own
independent
right,
organ of
and it's even co-equal to the executive, holding its meeting inside government house. What do all these things mean?
Well, if we look at what has happened to the legislature at the subnational level, you know that they have not expressed, or is asserted their independence over the years. Where you have the House of Assembly, being appointed, members being determined by a sitting by the executive. The idea, like he said earlier, the idea of somebody, a governor, somebody who was running for governorship, somebody who is an outgoing governor, buying tickets or buying forms for all 27. House of Assembly
all the 32 of them.
It's already a violation of the principle of separation of powers.
Absolutely.
Because if the executive governor buys forms for you, he has actually bought you. Absolutely. You don't have any independence. And it is the same thing that we are seeing. If you are a member of the House of Assembly Assembly, you are supposed to have oversight function. You are supposed to evaluate what the governor does. You are supposed to hold the governor accountable to the people. Now, instead of you to do that, the governor has said, okay, no, you cannot meet where you are meeting. Just come and meet in an office I'll give to you. You are now becoming like a subordinate. And in the eyes of the law, the House of Assembly is not subordinate to the executive, because you are supposed to say, okay, you are the governor, we are examining what you are doing. But if I have to examine what you do, but that's called that you pay me, you decide what I do. I mean, I no longer have powers, and that is a very big problem. Now, the law is very clear. If the House of Assembly of any state cannot meet, if there is crisis in the House of Assembly, the National Assembly is supposed to take over. That's section 11 of the Constitution. Interesting. So the National Assembly is supposed to have moved in. You know, when they discovered that, look, there's been chaos in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when this thing started. That's what the National Assembly ought to have made a statement of that taking over the legislative function in that state. Because, like Mr. Jide say, there's no way you can have 4 persons. And then you say that you are signing a budget of 800 billion. Any other law for that matter. Any other law. 4 persons. And then, like you say, there's the procedures. You know, I mean, have they actually read the budget document? Have they read it? If they've not read the budget document, how could they have passed the budget into law? And the implication of passing that budget into law is that any money that is there in that 800 billion is available for Fubara to spend. That's the implication. So if he likes, he can chew the money. You understand? I mean, you see, and that is what happens in many states. You know, we have even many lawmakers who don't know the content of the Appropriation Act. You know, they approved. They don't know the content. It's very interesting, this dimension of the National Assembly taking over that you mentioned. But in order not to interrupt you, let me just thank you for staying with us. This is Sunday Politics, and we're discussing the political issues and crisis in Rivers and Ondo states. Our lines will be opening at any moment from now, and we hope that you will join us in this discussion. When you join and you call us, tell us your name, where you're calling from, and of course tell us what you have to say, either in the form of a question or contribution. Thank you, Dr. Go on. 1 minute. So I was saying that, you know, the National Assembly, you know, also supposed to have taken steps. You know, I don't expect them to wait until there is, violence in River State before they can step in. Because for 4 persons to approve 800 billion, which has now become a law, which is now available to be spent. I know in River State, minimum they get 10 billion in IGR every month. Minimum 10 billion every month. But if the National Assembly were to take, Mr. Jide, if the National Assembly were to take over the affairs of the River State legislature, given the fact that there is no way in any, you know, even if somebody is not a lawyer, you would know that if 4 people can do a job, why do you need 32 people in the first place, you know? So how will this work out? You know, would there not raise, maybe wasn't the situation because you have APC at the center, and then PDP at the state level. So that can raise political questions. Definitely, it can. And again, let's not forget that the crux of this matter is politics. So resolving a political debacle through the legality of the law sometimes is a misfit. Because this issue can be resolved politically. In the eye of the Lord, the Edison group has gotten a valid court judgment recognizing it, and I blame the judge who has given that ex parte order, which is why we need to also just a moment. We have a caller on the line. Yes, tell us your name, where you're calling from, and then go ahead and make your contribution.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'm speaking from Niger State. I'm Said Delat by name.
So you do the light to go ahead, please.
Okay, I want to contribute to the Sunday Cross TV. Sunday Politics.
Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, my contribution goes like this. I want to contribute based on the Rivers State politics.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you, and the audiences at home can also hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, I should go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. I said I'm in support of the River State Governor, Siminalaye Fubara. He's doing the nice work. Because seems to me all this fight is all about politics. And I want him to step up and support the good people he's leading in that very state. Thank you.
Thank you very much. He is in support of the governor in Rivers. But our discussion so far between the two of you, you've identified areas where one party is maybe where Wike shouldn't have, be more overbearing on the governor, but also areas where the governor also probably exceeded the limits of his own powers.
Yeah, Doc, there's a saying that action and reactions are equal and opposite. Sim Fubara is an executive governor. He has that kind of war chest to play with. And there are ethnic jingoists who are now advising that he will not, he should pull down the house, if need be, for his own political survival. Because the fight is no longer between Wike and Fubara. It's now like between Wike's camp and the Ijaw National Congress people. So it's a whole ethnic group against Wike. Because if you see the press statement that have been issued and the Ijaw leaders where they pitch their tent, that this is the first opportunity they are having after their speed in the old rivers. They've not had anybody. So this one, allow this man to rule, or, in fact, a lot of people have called on Mr. President to step in and then call Wike to order.
We have another caller on the line. Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening. Tell us your name, where you're calling from.
My name is Pastor Robert Omachoko from Abuja.
Okay, go ahead, Pastor Robert Omochoko. Yes.
Thank you very much. I am delighted at the opportunity given to me to speak to the press through your medium. In this country, we must be very, very careful. The way our political actors are dragging us. Now, the political zingoism in Rivers State exposes so many weaknesses in our political wars. Now, Wike is also taking a very dangerous steps to ruin his future. He looks like an achiever. He looks like somebody Nigerians should look onto in future for leadership at the central higher level than where he is now. But it appears he's very vicious. It's very vindicative. If he holds something, he wants to destroy it. By my judgment, he pull it down, not minding the consequences. Even if he helped the current governor of Rivers to come to power there.
Okay, Pastor, can I ask you a question, Pastor?
Hello?
Pastor, can you hear me? Pastor Robert, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yes, let me ask you a question that I'm sure is also in the minds of my colleagues here in the studio. Do you think what the governor has done in terms of presenting a budget to 4 people and claiming that that budget has now been approved and passed into law, do you think that is right for Nigeria?
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. Now, what is bringing that reaction by the governor is a very nasty end that is coming from the other side.
Interesting.
If you were the one there, you would do everything. If you are pushed to the wall, you will react in a way that, all that he did there was a bunch of illegality because he's been trampled upon. So he's struggling for survival. So in this struggle for survival, he can't take any right step.
Interesting.
He saw the handwriting on the wall. If he doesn't take some drastic illegal steps.
Thank you very much, Robert. We have another caller on the line. Thank you very much. I think he raised an important...
Just my final remark.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yes. 10 seconds.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Yes, please go ahead.
My final remark is that...
Yes.
Let the National Assembly weigh in now. They cannot stand watching what will happen tomorrow in Rivers State like that. Everybody, why should they be waiting till now? They should take over the legislative duties in Rivers now than before the worst happens there.
Thank you very much, Pastor Robert, for calling. Thank you, and we hope you watch Sunday Politics every week. Thank you. Dr. Abba, very interesting point that he raised, because he's saying that lawlessness begets lawlessness, and that what the governor had done in terms of presenting the, to only 4 people is only a reaction to the situation that he finds himself. How do you explain that?
Well, like I said earlier, I mean, 4 persons cannot do that job. You know, a typical.
But what
budget.
if your hands were tied? Because 27 people were also supposed to act in their own independent initiatives, right?
What my own thinking is this:
rather than to follow
my thinking is that even if 4 persons were going to approve the budget, let the due process be followed. The process is that you must examine this budget document, and it's not something that you're examining overnight. You have to call people, to come and respond. For instance, the budget contained maybe some proposals by even some of the people who are commissioners. Now, what happened? You understand? They ought to have come.
Budget defense.
Done budget defense and all this and another one. Those were not done. So I don't think the due process was followed, and we cannot excuse. Because
what someone else did.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Jide, we continue with this discussion in what has been happening in Ondo State. Is different from what has happened in Rivers, but the constitutional issues that we're looking at in the case of Rivers also are similar there, in the sense that you have had a governor who, for many months, have not stepped his foot into the very state, into his own office, for that matter. And now you have acting governor now. But some people would say, why didn't even the doctrine of necessity? Because the Constitution is clear that if somebody is unable to, do the job of his office, someone else has to do it. Yes, please.
Yes, I think what orchestrated or heightened the tension in Ondo State is similar to what happened in Rivers.
Yes.
When the deputy governor was served impeachment notice. This action and reaction are equal and opposite. We have an ailing governor, and it's not the first time a governor will hail. There are women like you and I. In fact, when you see some ex-governors and they shake you, you say, so this one is this expensive. But now that they are in power, you think that they have looking good, yes. Something else running in their veins because of the immunity and the amount of resources they have at their hands.
Yes.
So the point is, Aketi, the Oluwarotimi Akeredolu SAN, took ill. We don't know since when. And when he was living in April, he transferred power and empowered his deputy as acting governor. Unfortunately, issues around loyalty prevented Lucky Ayedatiwa, who is the second deputy governor to serve under Akeredolu, because the first one, Agbola Ajayi, fell out in the first term, went to contest under PDP and later Zenith Labour Party. So now, Mr. Governor chose Lucky himself. Lucky failed to come to Senate or House of Reps, but this man said he wants him as his running mate. He got him in, but there is no trust. So while Aketi was away in Germany, attending to his health, they could not even for once hold executive council meeting.
Yes.
For the period about 4 months that the governor was away. And people accused him of all manner of stuff. He spent one money illegally and all of that. The next thing, because the constitution did not specify what amounts to gross misconduct, the state assembly just splashed an impeachment notice on the deputy governor. The only person that saved the day was the chief judge of Ondo State, who said due process has not been followed in this, because the man has also rushed to court to get an injunction stopping his impeachment. So the state assembly want to, you know, railroad the chief judge, but he was resolute. He or she was resolute. Now, the bottom line is this. As at the time last week that Aketi transferred power to go back to Germany in furtherance of his recovery, there was already a court judgment asking for medical panel to be instituted to examine the state of health of Aketi. Because from all indication, this man came in was it September? Since September, he did not step his feet in Akure, nor in his office. He has been in Ibadan. Of course, the law, and that's why, you know, on this Sunday politics, I think we have discussed the importance of deputy governor position, and why the constitution did not assign them any resources. Because of time like this, where the principal
is unable to
may not be able to perform the function of the state, so that it can be empowered in acting capacity. Now, politics took over. Don't forget, Ondo is up for runoff and off-season governorship election in 2024. November. Now, my political reading is that Lucky Ayedatiwa is from Ondo South. Now, there is a gentleman's agreement for power rotation in Ondo State. Mimiko, Shegun Mimiko, ruled 8 years, is from Ondo Central. Okay. Akeredolu is from Ondo North. Owo. Now, power is supposed to shift to Ondo South in 2024. Interesting. Now, Lucky Ayedatiwa is from Ondo South. But there are powerful interests who may not want him to be in a pole position to get the ticket of APC. Interesting. So they have now badmouthed him, said all manner of negative things about him to Aketi. Because Aketi, that I know, as a senior lawyer, a senior advocate of Nigeria, stands to lose nothing by ensuring that while he's attending to his head, the deputy is in acting capacity, even if it's in Nigeria. But what played out was a lot of rumor mongering to him, whispering, he wants to do this, he wants to do that. And while those rumor thrived, there was no governance. The governor could not come. The deputy was kept in abeyance. The state executive could not meet. The economy was in, you know, the economy was in morass and the state of suspended animation. So, what all of this points to is the kind of politics that Nigerian politicians play. Anything to their advantage is fair, whether it's right, whether it impacts negatively on the people. Yes. I learned now that in Ondo State, there are workers are being owed salaries. It has gotten to a point that we were told purportedly that some documents were not signed by the governor. Yet, money was released. And
thank you. This is the issue I wanted to ask you, Doctor. Now that you have the acting governor being empowered as acting governor, which is still not the same thing as is a midway between deputy governor and governor, because it's a step ahead of deputy governor, but it's still a step below governor fully. So what kinds of actions can he do on behalf of the state? Because this is a state that has suffered from neglect for several months, you know, because the substantive governor actually has been unable to do his job for even longer than September. So what is the way? Can we not just do away with this idea of acting governor so that people can just step in and then do the job? Because it is the country, the state, that is more important than individuals in respective positions? Yes.
Well, I think from what my brother has explained, look at the sequence of activities and look at the interplay of issues. You see, these issues are quite political. And I'm thinking that Mr. Lucky is supposed to demonstrate, that he's also a politician. How is he supposed to do so? You also meet the different interest groups, to bring people together. You see, if you meet the House of Assembly members, the executive member, you have meetings with them, agree with them, listen to them, know what the issues are.
And give them what they want.
Give them what they want. Actually, because even from your own, you are
Nigerian times.
You are from Ondo South.
Yes.
You know the interest in Ondo South who don't want you to be governor. You need to bring them together and say, look, well, it is not yet time for me, but we have to move the state forward. You understand? You have to, bring everybody together to the table.
People will think you are actually advocating him to use the current term to campaign for the next election.
Well, there's nothing wrong in doing that, because that is politics. So, because if he's not political, if he's waiting for the right legal atmosphere, it may never be. You could be acting governor, you just put there, say, well, I'm not empowered to do this, I don't have authority to sign this, I don't have authority to sign that, because I'm not called the governor. You can just wait until Jesus comes and the state to collapse.
Interesting.
Now it is for him to take political steps. Yeah. That's my own thinking. You must take political, you must meet the House of Assembly members, you must meet the cabinet, you must hold cabinet meetings. Even if there are people who are loyal to Akeredolu, and you know that you can call me, talk to them, talk to their friends. Bring them together so that the state can move on. Yes. You cannot pretend as if, I'm acting governor, I cannot do anything, so let everything collapse. So that they will know that, the state can no longer move forward, and then blame Akeredolu. This is not the time for you to, he has to take steps, he has to provide leadership. Because this is the opportunity he has to demonstrate he can lead. He shouldn't wait until he's voted as governor before you can say, okay, I will lead. I'll provide leadership in the state.
Thank you very much. Yes. We have just 1 minute left, but Mr. Jide, I will use that to ask you the final question. Given all these issues that we have been having since 1999, would you say that there's been progress in terms of democratic development at the state level since 1999?
Yes, very well. Okay. You see, whatever it is, it's a learning curve. Okay. And we cannot get there in one day. US has been practicing electoral democracy since 1776.
Yes.
Look at the Trump and its disruptive politics. As we have it in 2023, would you have expected that, in God's own country, quote unquote,
and the possibility is still there next year in the next election?
Yes. You can see what's playing out, how they are even using the instrumentality of the court and the legislature
to ensure that
withdraw themselves.
Yes.
Just last week, Biden was brought to testify on summary charges against him. They are threatening, the Republicans are threatening to impeach Biden. And Trump, the Democrats are also dealing with Trump, both in the court and in the Congress. It tells you something. Politics everywhere. You need political sagacity. Now, why did I say we are making progress? Something we said earlier in the program. Wherever there's Godfather-Godson friction, one always bow for the other. And it is usually the Godfather that is shamed. Would you have expected Kwakwanso and Ganduje to have this fight?
No, not at all.
But you can see to whose advantage that has happened now.
Yes.
Ganduje is the national chairman of APC. Ganduje, Kwakwanso is nowhere to be found. It is only in 2 states that Godfather and Godson has managed their crisis very well. In Borno, between Zulu and Kashim Shettima and Zulu. And then Lagos, where the president comes from.
Of course, it's because you don't have people interfering.
Yes. So, and that's why I say greed.
The level of greed is not so much.
Exactly, the level of greed. The greed factor is the demonic factor in Godfatherism. If there is less greed, allow somebody to. That's why I cited Obaseki versus Oshiomhole. When Oshiomhole was breathing down Obaseki's neck, and he said, look, I cannot be a governor and not be a governor. Of course, they dealt with him, but who laughed last? It was Obaseki. Today, You know, before the rehabilitation of Oshomole by going to Senate, he was in political wilderness as a result of some of the times the decision he took.
Our time is up. Mr. Jide Ojo, Dr. Theophilus Abba, thank you very much for coming on the show. Thank you also, our audience, for staying with us. We hope that you join us next time when we meet again for another edition of Sunday Politics on Trust TV. My name is Suleiman. Good night.